Rest between sets. How long to wait? Hi, I'm Hayley from Parallel Coaching, and in this video we're going to explore how long you should be waiting between sets when you're doing resistance exercises in order to make sure you have the right amount of rest and recovery before doing the next set of the exercise. So that's what we're going to explore today. This is a key part if you're training to become a personal trainer or any FITPRO, gym instructor, Pilates, yoga. It starts to explore these key concepts of intensity and also what we need to know in order to make sure we have an efficient and effective session with our clients. So this is a key part as you're learning, but also when you're implementing it as a FITPRO. So the key thing here is to understand, first of all, why we need rest. Why can't we just carry on doing exercise after exercise after exercise and never take a rest in between? Now, the most important part is recovery. Now, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? But if we're working at an optimal rate on our exercise, so let's just take a resistance exercise. Let's just say I'm doing a lat pull down exercise. And on that lat pull down, I do my first set and I do 12 repetitions. If I'm working at an optimal rate, I basically get to the end of those 12 repetitions and I can't do any more. I achieve overload. And that's really important if I want to get the most out of that exercise, if I want to get the most out of my training, if I want to create the most physiological adaptation, I have to get to overload. But then I cannot do any more reps. So I have to have a rest so that I can regenerate force so that then the next set I can achieve another 12 repetitions to overload, or almost 12 repetitions, so that I'm really getting as much force out of the muscle as possible. So force generation is the first benefit for making sure we have enough rest with our clients in between every single set that we do. But also we need to make sure that we're refueling some of our energy systems. Now, what happens is that we use our creatine phosphate system immediately when we start training and up to about 10 seconds. So most of the exercises we're going to do, or most of the sets that we do, are going to basically use all of our creatine phosphate system. And they're also going to use some of our lactic acid system as well. And we're going to have that demand for some glycogen. So inside that whole set we're doing on those exercises, we now need to take that rest, certainly to replenish the creatine phosphate, but also to replenish some of the glycogen stores in the muscle. Now, that's the idea of our rest period. So we need to make sure we've got that. The other idea is to make sure that we're in a place whereby we can increase our protein synthesis. Now, this is the long-term benefit of having recovery in general, but it's been shown through many research that actually what happens is if you have a good amount of efficient rest in between each set you do, it will actually help the result that you're going to get at the end. So if someone's looking for hypertrophy and muscle gain, then we need to make sure we have enough rest in between the sets so they can get the most force generated out of every set they do, but then they're also able to increase the amount of gains they're going to get at the end in the long term. So it actually has a benefit in the long term, not just in the short term session. So they're probably the main benefits of making sure we have the right rest. But it's a sweet spot, isn't it? Because it's not just a case of, well, let's make sure every set we do, we have 5 minutes rest in between, or we have 3 minutes rest in between, and then it will be more than enough. Well, yes, it will be more than enough. And actually, we need to make sure this sweet spot happens whereby it's efficient, but it's also effective. Now, it's effective because we're going to have long enough, but we need to make sure it's efficient in the fact that we're not wasting time with our clients whereby they're sitting twiddling their thumbs or looking on their phone, or not basically wasting the session away whereby they're not increasing as much volume as they could. So there is a sweet spot to make sure we get enough rest, but it's also not wasting away the session. So there is a guide to that, and that's what we're going to go through now, so you know exactly how many seconds rest to have per repetitions you do. Now, alongside this guide, you'll notice that the more repetitions we do, the lighter the load will be. Therefore, the less rest is required. But the heavier we go, the more the load is there, the less reps we're going to do, and the more rest is needed to recover ready for the next one. So let's explore it. If you do 15 repetition maximum, so you get to overload at 15, you can't do 16, you're going to look at 30 seconds rest. If you go down to 12 repetitions, and at this point you're basically going to 12 reps, you can't do any more than 12 reps, then you're going to have 60 seconds rest. If you're going down to 10 repetitions, it's now got heavier again. At this point, you're going to have 90 seconds rest. Notice that that is longer than the 15 repetitions, because we need to allow more recovery so we can generate enough force again to lift that same heavier load. Now this continues past the 10 reps. When we get to 8 reps, we actually need 120 seconds. That's 2 minutes of rest to make sure we've got enough ability to generate the force in the next set. But if we go lower again, and now we're creeping into the strength zone, in this strength zone, if it's really anything, certainly less than 5 repetitions, we need to make sure our clients are having 3 minutes or more rest. Now that might sound like a lot, but the reason for that is related to the creatine phosphate system. If the creatine phosphate system is used maximally, which it really is in those low repetition ranges where we really increase the load and our clients are basically working maximally for, let's just say 1 rep, 2 reps, 3 reps, inside that point they're basically maximally using their creatine phosphate system. Inside the rest, they need to recover that, and that can take 3 minutes. So it needs that time frame in order to fully recover so they can go and lift that maximal load again. So notice that there is this inverse relationship whereby the more reps that we do, the less rest we need because it's lighter comparatively, whereas the less reps we do, the more rest we need. And that's a key thing to remember. Once you've got that ingrained in your mind, it will make a lot more sense. So alongside this is rest is a variable that we can change. So you could now change this from the guide just slightly as a way of adapting it for your clients. And actually advanced training systems do this all the time. Supersets, trisets, drop sets, they all remove the rest so that it makes it harder. But you'll notice that as you're doing those, the fatigue from the previous exercises or from earlier on in the set basically makes it much harder to complete at the normal load you would. But overall, if you stick to that guide of those rest times, it's going to allow you to have an efficient and effective rest time for your clients. Now, if that was interesting and you found that really helpful today, then definitely drop a comment below and let me know what your big takeaway has been. But also, if you find it's a struggle planning for your clients and understanding what variables to change and when to change them, then it may be that you need a little bit more help with your knowledge and confidence in terms of planning and preparing your clients. So we have our Fit Progressions program that I'd like to invite you to find out more about. So if you'd like more help on things like rest times, like planning, like training systems, periodization and consultations, then take a little look at the link that is alongside this video. Follow the invite for Fit Progressions. I will then see you on the other side. Thank you so much for joining me today. Bye.